their work or anything like that. But I really wanted to do work with an organization. That was the only focus. So I started applying for internship or some work for different organization. ATRI was one such organization which I tried to apply, and Gunj was another such organization. Even when I was applying, I was not sure like what these organizations really do on the field. And fortunately, I got rejected from all these applications. Like for in my internship, I didn't got selected, and I was like, okay, let's see. When then I have this perception like, okay, NGO work, everything is only for the people from professional or professional social workers, or we call it the social worker society, right? Or social work department. So I have this thought, like even the environmental NGOs, they also select only people from the social work department. So, but it was during the 2018 Kerala flood, all those perceptions changed, because when the Kerala flood happening in 2018, I was in my master's, and we were organizing some relief works, like where we were collecting relief materials for the flood affected areas. And I could see people from different sectors. Like I studied in Central University of Kerala, so we had people from different backgrounds, like different, say, physics, maths, every sector. Everyone was coming there because it's like the commitment they have towards the society. So the background was not a matter, and I also involved in that. It's after the flood we came to know, okay, it's only about the commitment that you have towards the society, which include the environment, which the environment is also part of the, it's very interlinked one. Then there was a community formed there, which started working, which really wanted to do something for the society. And that's how the Fireflies, our first organization, was formed. It was not at all an organization at that moment, because we were not sure about the so-called NGO sector. So we were like a small community which have a few people, few young people want to do something for the society, which we are not clear. So we were like trying to get in to know, okay, what we can do to the society, and we started exploring the possibilities. So explore to work with the society, work for the society. There only we started, okay, NGO, we need an NGO, we need to be an NGO, because NGO has a lot of credibility and it has a structure. So that's how we started working to get to their structure form. And it was not at all easy at that moment, because there was a lot of challenges, we say to get in. Like when we go, okay, it's only about registration, that's first we thought. But even after, when we go for the registration, we came to know, okay, there are different categories, like there are trust form, there are society, there are company. So we have to know, okay, which form we wanted to, which structure we want to choose, and also which area we want to work with. And so our focus was the youth empowerment, because being a youth, we want to have some platform where we want to contribute our time for the society. So that was the initial thought we had. So it took 2 years for us to register as a society, which happened in 2020. And so meanwhile, I was working with a few other organizations to get to know about the structure of an NGO, because even though we had a team with Fireflies, we are really lacking the structure, like how to get funding, or which area we want to focus, how to overcome the challenges from the bureaucracy and all. So one organization which I worked with was Gunj. So Gunj is a pan-India organization. I hope some of you have at least heard about Gunj. Gunj is a center in Kochi. So Gunj is not a completely environmental organization, but they have a very good connection with the environment. So Gunj values the cloth. So what they do is like they collect the cloth from people mainly from the urban settlement. They sort the cloth, and the first quality or the reusable cloth they gave to distribute to the people who doesn't have a single piece of cloth. And the rest of the cloth they use it for upcycling to make products, such as bags, sanitary napkins, dairy means the floor mat and all that also they distribute. So this way they are helping to prevent the entry of lot of clothes to the landfill. So it was during this work I came to know about their structure, how this team work, and how much it's important to get to the community, to the end to the community. So that was the first time I was seeing how an organization from top to reaching out to the community. So I was working in Wayanad, and I was like seeing like how if during the activity we were getting a lot of opportunity to meet the people from the community and to hear their stories. So I was when I was working in Wayanad, this area was most of the areas was affected by the flood. So came to know about their stories, how they were struggling with when the flood comes, landslide comes, and all. So all this experience was giving me an opportunity to develop myself. And after Goonj, I was being part of another organization. So to giving an outline, like I will be mentioning few organizations where I worked or being part of it. So it's like a story where I'll be connecting with what are the challenges or what are the responsibility that I experienced during the whole journey. So from Gunjai, we ended up in Kandari. Kandari is an international organization. So their motto was to help the people to bring this change, or help. They were mainly focusing on the social change makers. So when it comes to this sector, there are a lot of challenges or barriers which the people facing. So Kandari basically do empower the people or the leaders to overcome the challenges and motivate them to implement what the change they want to do, what they want to bring. So I was a Kandari fellow in 2021. So we were trained to face a lot of challenges in the NGO sectors. And that's how I end up starting Alamo, with the organization which Amjad mentioned. So after starting Alamo, I came to know about the more challenges in this sector. And all when from the bachelor student who has no awareness or nothing to know about an organization or an NGO, I end up starting my own NGO. So during this journey, I really improved my perceptions really changed about NGOs. So okay, sorry. I would like to share one screen right now. So this is where I came to know about the different roles of NGOs. So they basically did, here I start with environmental NGOs. So basically they do a lot about awareness. If I start with the examples, so one was the Kerala Shastra Sahitya Parishad, the KSSP. Whenever we mention about KSSP, the one very important important thing we mention is the Silent Valley National Park. We all know there was a lot of controversy and struggle happened 40 years ago, which led to the formation of the Silent Valley National Park, or when the Silent Valley rainforest became the national park. So, I was so much influenced or impressed by the role played by KSSB in making people aware about the issue, because during that time, even in the people in the smallest tea shop were discussing about the Silent Valley issues, and which is really amazing. Like we all common people, we all need to know about the all environmental issues or every social issues, and also the environmental issues. And when it comes to environment, it's one of the least considered issue that we normally when it comes to the priorities. And another organization I would like to mention is the Center for Science and Environment. It's the Delhi-based organization, which will focus more on the research and advocacy. So I help at least people who are here is aware about the climate change. But when we talk about the other people, or the people from our community, they are not that much aware about the climate change. So there is an international planner of climate change who publish report, the IP report about the climate change updates. And there is basically scientific report. We couldn't understand that much. So Center for the CSC always make the scientific report into much simpler version, where I mean the people who are not that much into scientific background also able to understand. And another very popular organization is the Namada Bachao Andolan. I think most of us have heard about the Namada Bachao Andolan. It was led by the Mehta Patkar. So it's basically based on, their focus was to, the model was activism, where they were protesting against the dam construction over Namada River. And another organization, ATRI, that was one of the organizations where I applied for internship and got rejected. And ATRI is also working with research work, basically focusing on biodiversity related researchers. And it's a Bangalore-based organization. Another organization, TANAL. TANAL is based in Kerala. So TANAL, the focus of TANAL is to develop a generation which are environmentally aware. So they also have very much beautiful projects. They work with the waste management. They work with the seed conservation. And Gunj I already mentioned. Then Orav also. Orav is another organization based in Wayanad. So Orav used the business as a strategy, one of their strategy for environmental conservation. Orav is an organization which focus more on bamboo-based, like a bamboo-based organization. So they do rural empowerment based on bamboo, like they do bamboo craft training. They cultivate bamboos. They also market the bamboo products, and it's like almost all project is connected with the bamboo. And they believe and they present bamboo as a lot of ecological value as well. So it's like Orav is an example where we can see like a business being used as a strategy for environmental conservation. And another organization, our Sistera, which focus on climate action. So why I mentioned all these examples, like when we look into this organization, they have different methods. So for example, Namada Bachao Andolan, they use activism as a methodology to work for methodology of intervention. So when it comes to environment related organization, we are to choose our main focus is to conserve or protect the environment. That's why most of the environment NGOs exist. And so when it comes to their activism, we have to choose activism as one of the tool, because if we want to conserve the environment, we have to protest. And it doesn't mean that we have to protest with the weapons. It's not like that. It's like we have to, if you understand for the environment, we have to raise our voice at least. Then there are organizations which work at the policy level interventions. For example, Sustira. Sustira recently published the 15 climate solutions that are possibly to implement in Kerala, which is really important, or which has the potential to influence the policy making, which will help the Kerala, say about the bureaucracy or the Kerala government. They can use it as a reference to make decisions for the conservation of the environment here. And like I mentioned, Center for Environmental Research, CSE, and ATRI, which focus on research-related work as a methodology. And most of these organizations use journals or magazines as a way of communication to the public, because when it comes to the environment, lot of issues are happening, but most of the public is not aware about it or don't give attention to them. So the environmental NGOs play a vital role in communicating about the environmental issues to the public. Because if something like, for example, say one national park like the Salon Valley was being maybe it was if we didn't intervene there, it might have destroyed. And it's important to know, it's important for the people to know the value of that place and how important it's to exist. So the organization, the environment NGOs in always play a vital role in communicating about the issues to the public, as well as to communicate for the public, because they always stand with the community and address their issues and make the bureaucrats to or grab the attention of bureaucrats to the issue. So NGOs always play in a middle way role between the community and high say the bureaucrats. And then I mentioned the business like Ura, which use business as a tool to social change or to for the environmental conservation. Then the grassroots level intervention, like most of the NGOs work at the grassroots level, because if we want to bring change, we have to start at the very root. If we want to have an issue, we have to address at the root level. If we want to bring the solution, we have to address it the very. We have to make to the up to the end. That's why, like I mentioned, like grassroots level intervention. Then roles, it's almost the same. Like they play a role in bringing awareness, like making people aware about the issues, and also stand like activism, where we stand for protection of environment, and also prepare the data reports, which is which helps the government and other organizations or policymakers to have a reference and analysis and monitoring of environmental quality, which I mentioned, like a communication, where they communicate between the public and the bureaucrats. And they also make a platform for discussions or the meetups. So even now, this platform, this Zoom call is also a small platform where people can talk or discuss or interact. So the organization, environmental organizations initiate such discussion mainly about the environmental issues and also influencing the policies. And why we need to start an organization? Why we can't can we go with an individual work? So for me, what I understood was like when it comes to an NGO sector, it gave a lot of credibility. I will mention about the challenges later, but if I mention about the advantage, it gave a lot of credibility. Being representing an issue or a solution as an individual and representing it as a NGO or an organization structure, it's different. It gives more credibility and structure. We have a structure to represent. Like when it comes to when it comes to NGO, it's mostly a registered entity. So it's there's a structure for it, and we have a team, like a manpower. When rather than a single person or a small group, when it comes to an organization structure, we will get a lot more manpower, and also give a possibility and platform for more collaborations with the other organizations or other stakeholders that are in the same sector, and possibility of scaling, which means like when it comes to an NGO, it's like an interconnected one. When we have a structure, it gives a possibility to scale up the idea. Like if you come up with a solution, then through NGO structure, we can scale it up into some other location, or maybe collaborate with other organization and scale it up and make more, replicate the same idea. And also NGO gives such scope for policy level influencing. And challenges. So when it comes to challenges, first challenge is about the bureaucracy. So when I mentioned the story, I started with the fireflies. So it took us 2 years to get it registered, because there are a lot of paperwork involved in the registration, and even the continuation of the NGO, there are a lot of registrations which financial wise as well as legal wise, which have a lot of, I say, bureaucracy involved, which we need to manage well. We cannot mess it up. Then the financial sustainability. So I hope people who are here from NGO sector must have heard most of the time how you're getting funding. Do you have any money? Are you doing it for free? Is it a service? Is it a charity? So it's like a common question we hear every time. And there are funding opportunities, but it's not a low hanging fruit. We have to work hard daily, or say struggle for it to get. And even though we get funding, it's always almost always it's an underpaid sector. We have to deal with it. And it's one major challenge is getting support from the community. If you introduce yourself as, okay, I run an organization, or I work with an NGO, people have like what I face, like most of them people are not aware like about the NGO. They're like, what is an NGO? Like what do they do? Then the second one, like, is we are doing for nothing. Like, if especially if I mention like, okay, I'm working for environment, they don't see the relevance of working for environment. So to convince them, it's very important, because most of the time they are not ready to listen for what we want to say. So to get their attention and to get an opportunity to speak what we want to speak is always a challenge. Then to find a very good team, it's a challenge in every sector, not only for environmental NGOs. Every organization, everywhere, we have a struggle with finding committed team. Then the potential risk. I think that's very common for environmental sector, because if we are working, or maybe if we are really working on protest based or activism based, we have to mess it up with the corporates, maybe sometimes even with the government. So we have to face a lot of challenge with that, especially if we are against some so-called corporates. We have to face risk. We have to risk our life. We have to risk the existence of our organization. So when we are into the environmental NGO sector, we have to be aware about these potential risks as well. Then the family support. I mean, that's very common for people who are into this sector, to convince the family and to get them on our board. And sometimes we want to do more, but most of the time we are limited with our capacity. So these are the few challenges that I faced in the small 3 years of my journey. I mean, I just want to share like what exactly NGO do is not that much clear for the society now. Even, I mean, they all the NGOs, almost at least almost all the NGOs do amazing works in the field, and sometimes they are not publishing it. They are not doing for publicity. They are not doing for money. I mean, it's like it's not a money driven. It's not a publicity driven effort. They are all, whoever are in the NGO sector, if you ever get chance to speak to them, if you listen to them, almost all of them, like most of them are working for the something. They're getting some satisfaction, and it's like they are doing, especially people from environment sector, they are doing something for the environment. They're getting something out of it. Like for example, now we all are in the sector of climate change. We are going through a lot of struggling phase, and we don't know like how can we are not sure, like, I mean, how much we can control it, or even we cannot control like how much we can add to reduce it or whatever. But all of us are trying to do something that we can do to stop it or to reduce it. And most of the efforts are to make the people aware about the seriousness of the issue. So that's what I really want to say here. And now I would really like to hear from you about your perspectives about the NGOs, or what you really know. Because whenever I speak with the people, most of them are not never heard about NGOs. So if we ask, it's really difficult to make them understand about the NGO. So I would like to hear from all of you your perspectives about NGO. I mean, rather than a talk, I would like to make it interactive. Can I hear from you people? Hello. Anyone?
Okay, Akhina, I am Biju.
Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yeah. I can hear you.
Okay. Nowadays, NGOs are like on the startup style. People are bringing many dimension into the NGO field, and always you have to prove your credibility in front of the bureaucracy, in front of corporates, and always in front of public. Okay, you have been with many organizations, Gunj, say Kandari and Sostera and all. And how you feel about this? Or how you convinced others? Now you are in Firefly, I suppose. Hello? Am I audible?
Yeah. So it's a question to me, okay?
So you being burdened with the responsibility of convincing these sectors at least 4 times in 4 different organizations, and how you succeed on that.
Okay. So first I start with the Gunj, because that was where I was interacting with the community for the first time. I mean, it was in Wayanad. Okay, Wayanad. Initially, I was working with a project called S2S. So where we collect stationaries from the urban settlement, then distribute to the children from the rural settlement. It's called school to school project. Initially, it was difficult to get the schools. So what I was doing was like I was visiting every schools in the, mostly I was working in the Mandawadi area. We go to the school, talk to the principal, try to convince them. So with that project, one benefit was like the children has to do an activity, maybe some, I would say some game or some cleanup activity in the school premises, and they will be getting one cloth school bag with the stationaries. And most of the schools were interested, but there are schools which were not interested to take part in any of this. They don't want to have any collaboration with the NGOs. And what happened later was like when we started having more activity, like one activity I kind of started with was like creating kitchen gardens in the schools. So when we started with that activity, once it got success, like when we started implementing kitchen gardens in like a few schools, the schools which rejected us started calling us back. Okay, we also want to create kitchen garden. So it was important, like even though we speak a lot, our actions speak more. So it was important for me to find new activities that's more attractive and that is also relevant for the school or for the children as well as the parents and the teachers. That was with the one project, and the project was with the community we call as CW, like dignity for clothes. So DSW. So where we were like, we have to identify any activity in the community, maybe one bridge making or cleaning one canal or pond renovation. So we have to go to the community and understand the people issue. We cannot go and okay, this is your need, we want to do this. So we have to go and speak to the people and understand what's their need. It was very important. I cannot go with the perception, okay, this might be their need, this might be their issue. So first we have to go and we have to build a rapport with them and also make them feel like or make them understand, okay, we are there to hear them. So basically we were working with people who were not having any opportunity to share their stories, or people who don't have anyone to hear their stories. So that was one method I followed to convince the people there. And once the activity finished, I didn't just it was like I just don't leave the contacts. I always build the contacts and I maintained it so that once they are facing any other issue, they will have one contact. Like most of them call me. Okay, so with the Gunj, I worked from 2019 to 20, and after that, I was not that in touch with them, but I had the contacts, and they also had my contact. Recently, I received a call from one of the chichi from Wayanad asking for they want to renovate their school. They were asking, is there any possibility? So that's kind of rapport I built. So and when we build rapport with the people, they communicate each other, so they talk more about, like, if we talk to them and they talk to other people. And also another example is now I am running Alamo, that also I started in Vienna. One reason was like I had built few network there with the community people, which I really believe that while it will be a benefit for me to start there, and that really worked. Because after 2009, 19, I never been to Vienna. But when I started my organization in February, I went to meet the people to see is there any possibility. They could recognize me, and I started asking, okay, this is my idea. I wanted to work with the children. I want to help them to aware about the environmental issues and all. This is what I explained to them, and they were like, okay, if we are coming, we are okay with that. But I was sure there is something more they need. And when I start with the children, I came to know, okay, it's not there. I don't need to teach them about environment. They know much better than what I know about environment, especially about the forest and all. What they're lacking was the confidence to speak about what they know, or to face the people, or to improve their communication. So they also, I started understanding their needs and work according to that, and also maintaining whatever the connection I had. So, and once we, I mean, in the my during my project under Alamo, initially I had 3 children, and I was okay. I'm going to work with the 3 children. I was okay with that, and those 3 children helped me to get in connection with the remaining 15 children. They were really talking with the other family and other children about what I was doing with them, and that's how I could connect with the other children. So that's the one way where I let's say get convince the people. And with the Kandari, I was doing my fellowship there, so I was not working with there. But when I got the fellowship, people were not really understanding what is Kandari, because when we hear Kandari, we have the memory about the Chile only. We don't know, even though the campus, an international campus in Trivandrum, which is not that familiar in Kerala. So I have to explain them about the social change makers, what they do, and people who gave some, like, if even 5 minutes to hear, they understand it. But people who had already the perception, oh, okay, this is nothing, this is just a waste of time, I couldn't. But I keep trying. When we do like that's where we have to go with some kind of publicity. If we post about it, or if we post publicly something, they know, okay, there is something relevant. Like nowadays, what we saw in Facebook and Instagram is more relevant than what we talk. So these are few things I have, a few methods I used to in convincing. I believe, and it's also important to continue our action along with the convincing people, because if we are continuing what we are doing through our actions, at some point people understand, okay, rather than speaking or rather than just blabbering, she's doing, or they are acting something. I hope I answered your question, Mr. P2 Balakrishnan. Hello. Hello.
Sorry, I was muted. It's an excellent work. Very good initiative had been done. I had given my contacts and phone number. If possible, you just share. I'm working on a project in Kottayam. It's aimed to distribute what Gunj has been doing. But not only dresses, we intended to collect whatever material public ready to offer as a gift and give to the deprived patients of government hospitals in Kottayam. It's a part of district administration. I'm a district environmental engineer in Kottayam. We have been running a green, clean and climate resilient Kottayam campaign. So as a part of that, we want to incorporate Kunj and similar kind of NGOs into work along with the district administration. So I invite you also to the campaign. Chat box have my mail ID and phone number. If possible, you please share your contacts and be in touch with you.
Thank you.
Akhina, there is a question in chat box.
I'm reading it. Since you have worked with so many legit NGOs yourself, why not prolong the collaborations rather than have another independent NGO registered? This is a crucial time for each and every like-minded NGO. Join hands extensively for greater ripples to resonate, then keep getting broken down into more and more small new by NGOs. Okay, so it was a question from Jismi. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. So, I mean, if I explain it in detail, Fireflies still exists. It doesn't broken down, and Fireflies is have a very keen focus on youth empowerment. So that's still going on. And Alamo, if I say about Alamo, is kind of a baby part of Fireflies, like a baby come out of Fireflies. And Alamo is having small, so focus on empowering children to become climate leaders. So the focus is different. So initially the plan was to have one, but when with the structure, there was issues like if you have a lot of multiple focus and the work revision was not going good. And how do I say? Yeah, when we explaining about it, it was difficult. That's how the Alamo was formed as a separate NGO. And it doesn't mean that we don't have any connection with other NGOs. So with Alamo, we have a collaboration. So we are still partnering with the Fireflies. We are partnering with the Gunj. And Sustira is also like my, I would say, parallel organization, because being a CLP cohort, I also got like a support from Sustira. And when it comes to environment, I will quote one sentence that I heard from Deepa ma'am. So when I asked her about, initially when I was contacting her, before the Sustira CLP, she told like with environment NGOs, we don't need to compete each other. Even though we are different organizations, we have different focus. When it comes to environmental protection or conservation, we all are working for one very common interest, a very common motive. So it doesn't mean whether we are different organizations, we are small organization, we are big organization. At the end, our common focus is same. It's okay to be small and work according, because with Alamo, I have my own vision, my own strategy. Sometimes I cannot collaborate my strategy with what the Sustira follows or Gunj follows. It's difficult. But the end, what the result we all want to have is same. So I hope I answered your question. So it's not like I go, we don't want to collaborate with anyone. I want to start my own. It's not like that.
Akhina?
Yeah.
Can I add something here?
Yeah, sure.
Hello, everyone. My name is Biman. Actually, I'm a colleague of Akhina, and I also did this course in Kantari, and I run an organization called Born. So it's to answer Jisni's question here. So one thing is that once a organization, like a single organization scale, then the thing is that there are a lot of bureaucracy and there are a lot of structure put in place. So what happened that, like, if we are an individual, like a small organization working in a particular area, then we understand the cultural context much more deeper level. So which helps us to because what we are essentially trying to do is change the mindset, right? And mindset change doesn't happen overnight. It needs a lot more involvement. So if there are more small organizations which are working in the local level, understanding the context, and sure, like they can, like in a bigger picture, they can collaborate with each other, and that's all of us are looking for. But I think it also makes sense that if smaller organizations are dividing the work while keeping the bigger picture in mind and then helping each other, if that makes sense.
Thank you, Biman.
Also answering to Jisni's question, this is Jitu. Right now, there are lots of legal complications has come up. The current central government has put on lots of burden on these NGOs. Even one of the major addition that came on the FCRA route is that an organization which has been headed, I mean, like an international organization, or whether it's a national organization, which has been headed in any of the part of the India, are not supposed to transfer their funds to any of the organization or to any of their partners or any of their allies, which has trimmed the work of NGOs at a greater extent. This has created a barrier to the barrier to the role that the NGOs played too. Secondly, in India, let's not take it as in India. Let's take it as in a Kerala. The community which we live have different sects and sectors. All NGOs or one particular NGO cannot intervene in multiple sectors, maximum of like 3 or 4. So or else like an NGO based in Trivandrum cannot focus the real problem of the problem of the people living in Wayanad. I would like to point out one of the books which have been a translator. It is called Community Mobilization Anchored in Community Intelligence. In that book, which we have clearly explained that how complicated it is to work with the people's minds. It's basically social engineering, and social engineering which is not just talking and tapping their mind. It just have lots of tools applied to it, and many of the international NGOs implicate some of the tools like LFA, PIP, RBM. It's an RBM cluster. So when we apply to all these things, not all NGOs can work along with this guidelines, and not all NGOs can address all the issues of the people in a particular sector. So it is better to have a local organization at local areas to intervene particularly to the issues addressed by those communities. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Jitu. Any more questions?
Anyone want to ask?
Any question or any suggestions, any argument, anything?
The people can go into the central government website. The website has given lots of mandates to the NGOs. Basically, Nidhi Aayog registration, the constitution of the board. If you want to register it as like a national NGO, now it's the board of members should have to be from minimum 7 states, different 7 states, not from one state. Likewise, I mean, if you want to apply for 12A, if you want to apply for ATG, if you want to apply for FCRA, all those things have been changed a lot, and lots of it cannot be merged in a half an hour or 1 hour session, and it's a hard plate, exactly.
Yeah, for a kind information, 12A, ATG, FCR, everything is some kind of financial registration the organization should have to receive funding. I mean, the non-profit organization should have to receive funding.
And not only that, in regarding many of the organizations fail to renew their registration. I mean, every year we have to do this auditing by an external auditor, and then we have to submit the same with the minutes of the governing body as well as the general body, and we have to go back to the same registrar which we have registered our NGOs and apply for the renewal. Many of the NGOs fail to do that, and it's a hectic process because these registrars will have a close look and close watch on these reports and all. If there is anything which is not legally binding, they will ask us to change that or seek a reapproval for the same, so not only the financial commitments, but also the legal commitments are heavy on the NGOs side right now.
Thank you, Chittu, for your valuable insights. Anyone has any comments or anything to add? Or else we can wind up the session.
I think it's time to wind up. Thank you, Amita. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for the questions and thank you for the valuable answers from Viman and Jitu. Okay, Anjana. Yeah, Anjana raised her hand. Anjana?
I'm sorry, it's my mistake. Anyway, it's a great session. It's a different types of selection of topic. And thank you for this session.
Okay, thank you, Anjana. Akhina.
Yeah, I think we can wind up. Thank you all for attending and having wonderful questions and also insightful answers from Biman and Jitu.
Thank you all. Thank you very much from Sastra's side. Jitu and Akhina has posted their numbers. If anyone want to connect them, you can. Okay, thank you.